friend, welcome to 2025. Listen, I'm about to bust out in that song. You know, we made it, bestie, we made it. Because, okay, I know you love my singing, but because, listen, anytime you enter into a new year, that is definitely something to feel super blessed about and grateful to God. And then as real estate agents, right, when we have just been seeing these really, really challenging markets, but you're at the turn of a new year and you are still here, I definitely want to celebrate you. Like even before we get started and I talk to you about the lessons that I learned from last year and the one major key that you must this has to be the focus of your business. If it's not, then last year and the years prior didn't teach you anything. So I'm going to get to that major key. But first, I want to celebrate the fact that you are still here because we know that there's a lot of people that are bowing out of the business right now. And I've shared with you all on previous episodes, and I'm going to link that episode here, when I talked about how back during the recession of like 08 and 09, I was previously licensed and, just the stress of that market, it punked me out. And I just want to celebrate you, the fact that you're still here and you're still learning and you're still growing. Okay. But let's talk about it because it's one thing, something that is confusing to me. And again, no shade, but you got to hear my heart here. Okay. Is that it's one thing to be like, I made it and I'm in it for the next year. But the thing that happens to a lot of people is they think something magical is going to just shift in their business, in their life, in their finances. But what is going to be different? And I have a really good friend and he always says to me, or I've heard him say this a couple times, and it's like a ding, ding, ding. He says that like a lot of people are just living the same mundane experience over and over. And he said, you don't have a lot of 40-year-olds out here, right? You have a lot of 20-year-olds with 20 years of experience of living the same year because they haven't done anything differently. And because you're here, right, because you are part of Real Estate Bestie and you know that the whole purpose of this platform is to support you and educate you so that you can go out and have a thriving business and be a light in the marketplace, I know that you don't want just another, even if you had a great year, like how can we improve upon it and make it better? And when I was reflecting on 2024, right, and honestly 2023 and all of the other things, I kept coming back to this major key, this one thing that when your focus is here as agents, it is going to make all of the difference, no matter what the market is, no matter where interest rates are, no matter who is buying or selling, no matter what the news says, no matter who's the president. Like when you focus on this one thing, you're going to see an impact in your pipeline. You're going to see an impact in your business. You're going to see an impact in your finances. But first, let's talk about the lessons, because how did I come up with this? So when I was thinking about 2024, and I really I went back to the mindset, like who I was coming into the year, right? At the end of 2023, who you were, who a lot of us were. And the biggest challenge is here are some of the things that I will tell you. Well, I'm gonna speak for myself. I have a reel that I did on Instagram because, at the end, around December, they made an announcement about all of these, how we were going to see all of these rate slashes and rate drops over the course of 2024, right? So I went into I went into the market in 2024 thinking that, okay, we're going to experience so much relief with interest rates and automatically the market is going to be flooded with all these buyers, right? Let me tell you what else I thought. I thought that there was no way in the world that NAR would settle in the way that they did, okay? I just thought that the way we did business was the way we did business. And I was definitely one of those that really couldn't see how things would shift so drastically, but they did, okay? Let's talk about what else, right? I did not see listings sitting on the market as long as they had because everyone was talking about how inventory was still low. But the more that I would see the houses in my neighborhood, some of my own personal listings, like you had to get a lot more creative to get these things sold, which meant a lot tougher conversations with sellers. And like there was a season, right, in 2020, 2019, 2021, parts of 2022, that if you got a listing, like you already knew, like cash the check, right, it's coming. This year was a little different, okay? So there are definitely some things that I would say were outside of our control that could impact us, but you're still here, okay? So let's celebrate that. The fact that you're still here, the fact that, you know what, NAR did what they did, and I'm gonna be the first one to say it. I don't know about you, but actually, even though I couldn't see it a year from now, I like the changes, right? The changes, we did not die. We are not out here fighting over compensation. It's making, honestly, for easier conversations in the way we do business. So you know what? Worst case scenario happened for a lot of us, at least what we thought was worst case scenario, and you still made it, okay? Interest rates, right? We've seen a little seesaw, nothing drastic, but people are still buying homes, okay? We have a lot of closings this month and next month from home buyers that are like, hey, if I'm ever gonna get back in the game, I gotta get in the game. So no matter what the rates are, you will have people, it comes down to affordability, they will be there. And then even with the listing sitting a little bit longer, right? For me, it's sharpening my skills as a marketer, right? And it's helping have these conversations and set realistic expectations with our clients. So even when you have all of these like uncontrollables happening in the market, 2024 definitely threw us some curveballs, but it really allowed those of you, right? And I'm putting myself in this number, like who are really here to build longevity in this business. We understand it's not a get rich quick scheme. It definitely helped to strengthen you because remember, good businesses are made in tough times. But where's the lesson? Okay. If there is one lesson that we have learned in the past few years, not just last year, but the past few years, one lesson that you must walk away with and where you need to focus the majority of your energy in your business, it is in this one area, and that is lead generation. I feel like I'm cussing at somebody, right? If you already know, like just go ahead and put in the chat. If you know that lead generation is one of these areas where you need to focus your energy and your time, go ahead and put in the chat. And I'm going to break down for you right now exactly why that needs to be your focus. Because I think that too often we throw words, we throw things out there, and we feel like we know we need to do them, but we haven't really sat down and discovered why, right? Like I know like today when I was on my way to the office, like I really wanted to eat donuts and stuff like that. I'm still on my like holiday sugar kick. But you know what? Why do I need to choose not all this sugar in my body, right? Not just so I can look better or whatever better is to me, but like what are the implications of me not choosing the healthier options for the long run? And this is what we're going to talk about when it comes to lead generation. And because, bestie, I know that this is like an Achilles heel for a lot of us. And really the challenge is, where am I going to find these quality leads? We are actually doing a free lead generation workshop. And I want you to go ahead and register for it. Okay, it's going to be the second week of January 2025. rosemarylewis.com/2025. Go ahead and get registered for that now. And when we go through all of these reasons why lead generation has to be our focus, you definitely want to be a part of this, because I'm going to do a workshop and I'm going to give you 5 free ways. Everyone say free. And I'm not saying free because I don't feel like you should be investing in your business, because I definitely feel like, you know what, the ones who are serious are willing to invest in their business. However, I will tell you that most of the best quality leads that I've gotten have come from organic sources, from when I learned how to really prospect exactly where I am. And I'm going to give you my top 5 for 2025 things that have brought, like literally, I just hung up the phone with a neighbor and I'm going to share with you a source that got her into my database, right? She's going to be looking in a couple months, and she hung up the phone like, hey, whatever I need to do to sign, you know, so that we can get the ball rolling, I'm ready to go. And this is a free source. So I'm going to give you 5 free lead generating tips during our workshop. Now let's talk about why this must be your focus. Lead generation must be your focus in 2025 because I know you are sick of chasing these dead ends, and let's talk about it. So the number one reason why it must be your focus is like, duh. If we don't have leads, no business, okay? You have to have somebody to sell your product or your service to. Period. If you, no matter what you are selling, no matter what you are providing, what service you're providing, if you don't have people who are interested, then it's going to be a waste of time. I'll never forget, y'all. My husband, he opened up a barber college. This was years ago. This was back like in 2007. It was 2007, maybe 2008. But anywho, I remember before he opened it up as a barber college, he opened it up as a barber shop. And the shocker of my life, right? I just thought that on the day that he, took the sign and then he flipped it from closed to open, that he would automatically have people coming in the door to get a haircut. But the non-marketer in me and the non-marketer in him at the time, after he sat there for several days without anyone coming in, he's watching TV, watching Netflix, somebody might come into the door, but they thought it was the business next door. It occurred to us that no one was going to come just looking for him. He had to go out and generate customers, generate leads so they knew he was there. And the same thing with you, right? If you are not generating leads, then you will not have a business. And too often we think that little rinky-dink post that you do on social media and you announce that, you know what, I am a realtor now. And don't get me wrong, you're going to get a few, if you're real fancy, you're going to get a few hundred people. They're going to say congratulations. They're going to like the post. And then they are going to forget about it and forget about you. Okay. So if you are not generating business, if you're not generating leads, then you will not have a business. So that's the number one reason it has to be your focus, because if you don't do it, then you're going to be left with a goose egg. It's going to be a hot 0. Okay, so here is number 2 on why lead generation has to be your focus, okay? It's because if you haven't noticed, the market is shifting, okay? The market is shifting and you are going to have to dig deeper to find the quality leads. And there was a time where to buy a house, let's just be honest, friend, it was easier, right? It was easier. I am just thinking about, back in like 2018, 2019, affordability looked different. Just the amount of money that my clients had to have saved looked different. The cost for insurance looked different. The barrier of entry, especially for buyers, was much lower. I could do more passive activities, post every now and again, and then you would get a little bit more activity and a few more leads in your pipeline, because essentially it was just easier for the leads to actually do something now, right? But now think about it from the perspective of that future buyer or that future homeowner that might want to sell their house that you can work with. The barrier of entry is higher. So if you're not prospecting, if you're not generating, if you're not out here having conversations, then let me tell you what they're doing. They are reading the news. They are looking at, their neighbor's house that has a for sale sign in the yard. They're not having real conversations to understand their experience. And as a result, they are letting the market shift them out of what could be their reality, right? You're the person that can help solve their problem. But because of how market is and because we are not, being very active in going out and having these conversations, then business that very well could be there is not there. So take note, right? What got you here won't get you there. And there are a lot of people that are listening to me, bestie. You may be one of these people that, because market conditions were a little bit more favorable for your client when you got into the business, that you think that, you only have to do what you did then in order to get people in your pipeline. But that's not it. Because the market is shifting, because the narrative is more negative, right? Because the barrier of entry is higher, you have to focus on generating more people in your pipeline, because the reality is that you're going to have fewer people who are actually going to be able to qualify and actually be able to do something. So it is so important to focus on lead generation for that reason. Okay, here is another one. And this is probably one of the biggest ones for me, that I actually got this one from a coach of mine that I had previously. And I never forget, the coach said, we were doing some role play calls and we were talking through like a difficult role play situation. And she responded by saying, because like whoever I was role playing against, they were being very, very nasty, right? Like the type of person. I made a comment to say something along the lines of, you know what, if I actually was working with this person, I wouldn't even want to work with them, right? Just because of the way they were over the phone. And she said, this is why you keep a full pipeline, because when you have a full pipeline, you get to choose who you do business with. So let's talk about it. Have you ever done a job, or maybe you've seen somebody do a job and you wonder like, why would they do that, right? And I'm not going to name any jobs because I don't want to demean anybody, but like, well, okay, let me just give you my life, right? In my former life, even before becoming a teacher, right, I worked in a daycare center. And I worked in a daycare center, and when I was working in the daycare center, they initially put me in the baby room, right? I'm going to be like the baby room lady, okay? And I'm like, yay, I love babies. So I was thinking, I love babies. This is great. They don't talk back. They're cuddly. This is wonderful. Until it was time to change diapers. Now, I am not squeamish on diapers. Like, I have 2 kids, right? I have 2 boys, and you know how boys be. But I'm going to tell you, there is something different about changing a diaper for a kid that you love and you're attached to than some random kid, okay? And if you're a baby nurse, or not a nurse, I wasn't a nurse, I was a teacher. But if you're the teacher in a baby room at a daycare, there might be 12 babies and like 3 of us. Do you know how many times 12 babies will poop in an 8 to 10 hour period of time? I was like, this got to be a better way, right? Like, I loved working in the daycare, but I could not do that job. And I'm so grateful that I figured out like there were other jobs in the daycare that I could do. I actually ended up being the director of the daycare, shocker. But I was happy because I had options and I wasn't forced to do work that I really didn't like to do. Same thing with your clients. First of all, let me just say this. If you are attracting very difficult clients, like all of them hard, I am going to like just really like encourage you to evaluate like, okay, what is it about me that's putting out this energy and I'm getting it back, right? And I'm saying that with love, friend, because I have some friends like all the time, no matter when I talk to them, they might be making a lot of money or a little money, but they are always stressed out over these clients. And these are different clients, right? The people you were stressed out about in 2023 are different than the people you're stressed out about in 2020. And my thing is, okay, what is it about you that may be bringing along this energy? However, when you have a full pipeline, right? When you are generating leads, when you're having these conversations, when you're getting in front of people, then what it does is it gives you the flexibility to say, I really don't want to work with this person. And I have had that happen on more than a few occasions. And it might be, like, let's just say it's somebody who, where they're shopping is literally like really not within my service area. But if this is the only deal you got, right? You'll drive 2 hours away. It's crazy to me. People will drive 2 or 3 hours away. I'm not doing that because number one, it's not in the best interest. And this is just me, right? It's not in the best interest in the client that I'm serving if I don't know their local market. But then number two, like this time that I'm spending commuting and going back and forth, what else could I have been doing, right? I would rather get the referral fee and be able to put you in contact with somebody who could support you better than me being so desperate for this commission because you're the only real thing that I got that I have to do work that I don't want to do. But listen, sometimes people are just not a good fit for you. And when you have more things going and you're not so dependent on this commission to pay your bills, to feed your family, then you can let some of this negative situation go. I was once working with a gentleman, and let me just tell you something. I'm not going to like he was probably one of the only ones. He was actually an expired. And one of what I'm going to teach you all in this workshop is about attracting and generating quality leads. And my experience has been when I am prospecting strangers and we have no commonality other than me cold calling them, it's just, even if I get the business, the trust that we're developing, like all of the different things throughout the transaction, it just has proven to be more difficult. And I would just rather not, okay? And I'm thinking about this one particular gentleman who was an investor, and I met him because I was cold calling expireds. And let me just tell you that homie wore me out. Okay, he wore me out. We got one deal closed. I had maybe like 3 of his houses on the market. And long story short, like there were just some property disclosure things, material facts about the property that he did not want to disclose. And even though I had invested money in putting all these houses on the market, you know, I'm talking like maybe $2 million worth of property at this time, which would have been a great payday for me. But I had to let him go, right? And I didn't have to compromise my business. Why? Because I had other stuff in the pipeline. And I'm not gonna lie and say that it didn't hurt, right, to make that decision, but it would have hurt a lot more if there were not other things going on. And think about it. How often do you have all of your eggs in a basket? You know, you just know that such and such is going to close on the 30th, but then they don't close, right? And you are devastated, right? You are stressed out. Your money is funny. All of these different things are happening. But if you would have had more things in the pipeline, then you wouldn't have had that stress, which brings me to the number 4, right? Because number 3 was, if you have more things in the pipeline, then you get to choose who you're going to do business with. But then number 4 is, it helps to reduce your stress. Oftentimes, right, this is where a lot of agents get it twisted, is that you have one client, you might have 2 clients, like however that goes, and you spend so much time focused on this client that if something happens and it does not close and it does not go through as you think it's going to go through, then you are just really, really in a tough situation, right? And I have been there before, and I coach besties, right? And go ahead and just hit like you don't have to tell me your business, but hit like if this has been you, where you have been so desperate, like this has to close for you. And because this is the only 1 or 2 deals that you have, it is stressing you out beyond, like this is not even enjoyable anymore. This is when people start thinking about getting jobs, because if this one thing doesn't happen, then your whole world will bust open, which is why you have to start focusing on getting more leads in your pipeline, to generating more conversations, to building your database, because the more people that you have, then the more opportunities you're going to have to serve. But if you looking in January and you just thinking, okay, I know that Ronnie is going to be buying in January because Ronnie has been telling you all year they're going to buy in January. And then you follow up with Ronnie in December, and then Ronnie tells you like, oh, I thought I was going to buy in January, but guess what? My job may be relocating me. Now you're stressed and you're overwhelmed. So make sure that you are generating these leads so that we can eliminate and reduce the stress factor. And that's why it has to be your focus. All right. And here is the last reason on why you always want to be generating leads. Okay. This has to be your focus in 2025, because the more people that you're adding to your database, what you're essentially doing is you are adding and you are building your network. Okay. Now, this is why you want to build your network, because your network is going to impact your net worth. For every person that you meet, every conversation that you have, you not only have an opportunity to develop relationship with them and serve them in their real estate needs, but now they are the conduit. You now have access to everybody that they know. And I think about this all the time, because let me tell you, if you meet the right person and have the right conversation, it is amazing how one relationship can totally change the trajectory of your entire business. I'm thinking of a young lady right now. Her name is Sam. Sam is a bestie. Well, she develops real estate. She's not a real estate agent. But when I tell you that Sam and I met in a very organic way, and one of the ways I'm going to teach you in the workshop, make sure you're there. When Sam and I met, she has never, this is the kicker, Sam herself has never purchased real estate from me, okay? But because she's been in her house forever, like Sam just one of those where like, now she know when she's ready, I'm here to help her. But as for right now, she hasn't needed my help. But when I tell you that Sam has like exploded me to her network from the very beginning, right? Our little coffee dates have turned into her referring over and over and over. And it's just been a domino effect, okay? If I really, like, I haven't done it in a while and I probably need to do it, but I can literally sit back and trace hundreds of thousands of dollars in commissions that have come from that one connection. But what about this though, right? What about if, because I knew that Sam was nowhere near interested in purchasing or selling the house herself, I would not have been open to generating conversations and connecting with her and going to coffee and hanging out and stuff like that. I would have robbed myself of the opportunity to, number one, develop a relationship with her. And in us developing a relationship with each other, she's helped me build my network. And the more that you are generating leads, the more you're going to be able to generate and build this thing out. And bestie, let me just tell you something. In 2025, this is the year to stop playing yourself, okay? Too often I talk to people, and this goes back to what we were saying in the beginning, right? You know, you done went ahead and you done paid these realtor dues and you're still in it, you're still in the fight. But what are you going to do differently, okay? And here is the key. If you are not willing to do something differently, if you're not willing to take the lessons that we learned in previous years and actually put some action behind it, then don't be disappointed when you're not getting the results, okay? And let me tell you that it's so easy to get these results. It actually feels hard, but the first thing that you got to do is decide where your focus is going to be. And if you are like me and you're saying, you know what I see around me, and I say it all the time, right? I don't care what type of market we're in. I always see two things. I see people and I see houses, right? And when you remind yourself that having a house, homes, lodging, right? It is a basic need, and you, friend, are the solution to somebody's problem. All you got to do is start opening your mouth up a little more. Then it's going to be so much easier to do it. And there are going to be benefits not only for you, but benefits for the people that you are going to be able to help. So let me ask you this. Go ahead and put in comments. Tell me, what are you going to do different? How are you going to get in front of people? And if you want to know my tips, right, the things that I have come down to, like I've narrowed down like 5 strategies, 5 things that we're going to do, 5 things that I've done that I'm going to repeat and double down on in order to keep this pipeline filled in 2025, then join me for the masterclass. It's rosemarylewis.com/2025. Space will be limited, but do not be stingy. Go ahead and tag your real life real estate bestie so that they can generate leads too. Now, I have said it before, and I'm going to say it one last time. I'm so proud of you, friend. I know that this is not an easy business. I know that sometimes you feel discouraged. I know that sometimes it's overwhelming, but you are here. You made it another year, and I'm so happy that you did, and I am committed to helping you make it the best year ever. I'll talk to you soon. If you enjoyed this episode and you have a real life bestie that you think it would resonate with, y'all, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that share button, because you know what? We are better together. Make sure you share the podcast, and I appreciate your reviews. I appreciate you giving me 5 stars more than you know. I'll talk to you next week.